Hey, everybody. Welcome to Church History for Chumps. My name is John Simon. I'm here with my two good friends, Taylor Gabagool Treadway, and of course, Thomas Tom Bombadil Duell.
What's going on?
And welcome to our new video podcast. The people asked for it, and people are getting it now. Yeah. You know, my favorite comment that we've gotten on Instagram has been people who were like, you guys did not look at all like what I imagined you to. Which I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, what do
Somebody
they
said,
think? What do they think?
"Why is Taylor Andy Mineo?"
Oh, that was good. That was good.
And
I saw
I-
that one.
Good. That was good.
Is that a compliment?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're like trendy urban wear pastor guy, you know, but also white and
I'm
very
wearing,
white.
I'm wearing the we call these in the Baptist world like the NAM vests,
Mhm.
like the church planting vest.
Is that a quarter zip?
Oh,
It's a quarter
I
zip,
see.
dude.
Quality.
I preached in this one time, and I pulled out the little stool to put my water bottle on, and my pastor made fun of me for like 3 weeks.
Did you have a coffee cup like placed right on the pulpit too?
No, that's what the stool was for. It was
Oh, the stool,
because
yeah,
we
yeah.
don't have a pulpit. We have a music stand. Okay,
That's so gosh. I hate, man.
Dude, he roasted me for like 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. I don't understand why. Well, what
Isn't
is
that
the
like
deal?
what's his name? Texas dude, Andy. Doesn't he have the water bottle stool?
I don't know.
Or,
I just
no,
did.
no, Chandler, not Andy. Matt Chandler.
It's like Andy Chan.
Matt Stanley. Look, I didn't have any agenda when I did it. I just did it. All right? And that's what happened.
You know, I want to share with the Chump Nation something that I just shared with you guys because I think it deserves to be heard by more ears. Thomas shared with us a really great video where a black dude was kind of parodying something that is very unique to the black church experience, which is just that your pastor is probably sitting around on a Wednesday afternoon, kind of feels the spirit telling him something, and he just goes on Facebook Live, preaches an impromptu sermon. And I'm just like, you can get a lot of mileage out of that, dude. I don't know. So I feel like we need to talk to the white church and just kind of get them, you know, just follow another trend. I think it would be good. I think it's gonna, you know, social media is the wave, right?
I'm hesitant to do that because I feel like for me it would be almost like showboating, right? Like if I just went live. But I don't think you're like...
What's up, guys? Pastor Taylor here.
Right.
Hey, I just want to say,
it's not the same vibe as when like the 50-year-old, you know, pastor, what's like a black old man name? Pastor Gerald, right? Dimitri. Okay, you racist. No, like Gerald or something. Pastor
also Gerald.
Pastor Gerald's like, hey, everybody. Like, it's just a different vibe than me being like, hey, I was just walking. I was on a walk right now, guys, right? Like, it's borderline incoherent rambling is, in my mind, a lot more palatable than like me acting like I have something important to say.
See, but it doesn't work if you're like, I was on a walk and it just made me think, you know, we walk with the Lord and sometimes we got to put our shoes on. You know what I mean? Like, no, that's not the same. Black dudes will do it on their front lawn,
right?
Like on the porch, on that rocking, swinging bench. Just like, let me see what I got to say.
Dude, and it's always like some like hard conviction. Like, I think some of y'all got to get right with the Lord right now.
That's right. That's right. Some of y'all think you got a whole lot of time, but you may not. I put a young boy in the ground just last week. Let me tell you.
That's right. Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's good.
I think we got to bring it back. But anyways, well, boys, this is our this is it. This is the beginning. I think we're gonna look back on this week and be like, wow. We never knew. If only I could speak to week 1 of the Crusades
and tell them
John,
to
Taylor,
not,
and Thomas over
tell
again.
them to not do it.
Yeah, it's not too late to give
the
up.
Interstellar. No.
Stop.
This little maneuver just cost us 12 years.
So yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
before,
Well,
I was going to say, before
ahead.
anybody roasts me for the Christmas tree, I'll have you know, Orthodox Christmas was January 7th, and it is
just started. Yeah,
January 8th. In
And you're
Chinese New
Orthodox, right,
Year,
Taylor?
no. But
In Chinese New Year.
I'm ecumenical and multicultural. And Chinese New Year's not till
Heck yeah.
February. So these things can hang out for another 2-3 months.
You got all month, brother. Don't let anybody rush you. You got
That's
all
right.
the time in the world.
That's right.
Oh man. Well, gang, so
Yes.
we kind of had to strategize a little bit when we talked about the Crusades because we kind of found ourselves with two problems. The first one is that the Crusades is about, I don't know, 8 to 9 centuries after everything that we've been talking about for the past year, since we've been doing a ton of early church stuff. So what you guys can expect for the next few episodes is we're going to be doing like a lot of catch up. We're basically going to try to catch you up to what's going to start us off in the Crusades, the first Crusade. So we're
All
going to
catch
touch
up,
into
no
the
mustard.
Muslim world, the Western world, and the Eastern, like the Byzantine world. So that's kind of where we're going to be dabbling.
And then the rise of Islam, right?
Oh yeah. That's right. So we'll have Islam next week, and then we'll do Byzantine the week after that, and then I think it's just going to be a free for all for about 6 months, where no prep, we just jump on and fight.
Well, actually, we're going to be doing them Facebook Live.
That's right.
That's right.
Oh man.
Hey, what's up, Chump Nation? John here. Crusades Part 17. Here we go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Tay, you're the man of the hour tonight, right?
I am. So, first things first, follow us on Instagram, Church History for Chumps. Follow us on Facebook if you're not on Instagram, Church History for Chumps.
Dude, we're like 50 followers away from having 1,000 Spotify followers. And I think that once we hit that milestone, we're gonna have to do another giveaway, or we'll, I don't know, do like a Discord hangout or something like that.
I love
or
the idea
chill.
of, maybe we could do like a big hangout with everybody and
That'd be super
play
fun.
Jackbox games or something.
Oh, that sounds
that'd be
awesome.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds great. I love that. Feel free, if the Lord moves you, contribute to the Chump Change, aka buy me a coffee. We'd love to be fully financially, what's the word? Independent? What's the word? Sustained.
Fully financially
Yes,
independent.
I should know this as someone who used to have to support raise. I should know all this terminology. Gosh, support raising is
What
tough.
you mean
Think
is
the word flush with cash.
That's right.
Yeah.
And by sustainable, I mean we're all trying to move to Calabasas. So, yeah,
or just be able to pay the hosting fees.
yeah, and our editor, who is good but not cheap, but you get what you pay for. So
You
there
do.
go.
Yeah,
we do.
Ray does a great job. So anyway, that's where we're at. So shall we dive in? I think
The time
we
is
should.
now.
All right.
Taylor's got the pressure of doing the first video episode.
That's right.
I feel no pressure for anything ever in life. It's November 27th, 1095, Clermont, France. It's a cool, wet morning. The Council of Clermont is in its final day of meeting. And after days of boring ecclesiastical procedure, an excommunication or two, and a few other matters, Pope Urban II stands behind his pulpit and utters these words. Enter upon the road to the Holy Sepulchre, wrest that land from the wicked race, and subject it to yourselves. This royal city, therefore situated at the center of the world, is now held captive by his enemies. From you especially she asks succor, because, as we have already said, God has conferred upon you, above all nations, great glory in arms. Set out on this journey, and you will obtain the remission of your sins and be sure of the incorruptible glory of the kingdom of heaven. And Robert the monk records, when Pope Urban had said these and very many similar things in his urbane discourse, he so influenced to one purpose the desires of all who were present that they cried out, "It is the will of God, it is the will of God." Or as we know today, Deus Vult. Deus Vult. The first Crusades had begun. Welcome, my friends, to Church History for Chumps series on the Crusades. And then the horns come in, right? Like, brrr. and
Yeah,
the
like some
drums.
doom music. That's what we need. Yeah.
Back
Can
to
we get Ray? Could we get a little Hans Zimmer on here, please?
Ray
Just
never
a little
puts music
one of those
in.
big drops, those organ. Yeah,
Ray's
thank you,
mean
Ray.
to me. Ray's mean to me. He never puts music in.
Ray's not mean. He doesn't
But
listen.
he just doesn't. It's true. Listeners like, how does he do what he does? We don't actually know.
I think he just he has a little USB port. He just drag and drop. Ready.
You know what though? We don't know how to do it, so
That's right. We don't have it. So you know.
First and foremost, before the Deus Vult, before the Franks were even Christian, before the Catholic Church had amassed this influence and power, before the Pope was like the king of the West, we got to go way back. We got to go back to the 4th century to make sense of any of this. So, first and foremost, do you guys know what the barbarians were? Like the Roman barbarians.
The barbarians trying to get into Rome?
Well, just in general within the empire.
Weren't the barbarians? That was just like the catch-all for all non-Roman tribes, right?
Yes, that is right. And so barbarian, the term comes from almost this like demeaning how they would talk. They would say bar. That was like them making fun of them. And so you had this, sophisticated elite of the Roman Empire, and then you had the out there with their pitchforks or whatever, and their paganism. So the Roman barbarians were a little bit of a thorn in the side of the Roman Empire, effectively the whole time that it existed. But the Roman Empire, as you guys know, was extremely powerful, monolithic, brought a lot of people under it of many cultures. You could do your culture, you'd worship your gods. Just know that Caesar is number one. That's all you need to know. Do whatever else you want, pay your taxes, Caesar number one. So the barbarians didn't necessarily always fall in line with that. But as Christianity spread in the 4th century in particular, missions went to the barbarians, all the different tribes. Basically, when we say barbarian tribes, they're not Roman, but also they live in what was Germany at the time.
Germania.
Germania, the large swath of land that we would basically consider Europe.
Okay.
And there's many different tribes, but they do convert to Christianity eventually, which is very important that this happens early. So if you turn, you can't turn with me into my book, but
preacher voice coming out.
Right.
There.
I know, dude. I know. So we have the first missions to the barbarians, and unfortunately, it was it was actually Arianism that went out to them.
Oh no.
Yeah. So this guy was named Ulfilas, and he lived from 311 to 383. And Ulfilas was the first missionary to the Goths. And part of the reason that he went out with Arianism, I don't know for sure if he was like a strong Arian, but he did not do a great job. We try to be very ecumenical here, right? We understand different missiologies, right?
That's right. Arians are Christians.
Nope. We try to be charitable, but he went out and did not think that they could necessarily handle these more complex truths.
Mm-hmm.
So it says, they spoke of the Father and the Son as of one blood instead of the Greek philosophical language of one substance. And so that right there, and he did it to like avoid theological debate, but like that right there is like Arianism, right?
Interesting. Okay.
There's no distinctive church community, and the bishops and the priests from the beginning were set up like military chaplains. So there's no diocese. There was no metropolitan bishops because there's no cities. Because what was also happening with the barbarians is at this time they're being invaded by the Huns and moving around and in flux. They're taking different territories as the Roman Empire is like weakening in some areas. They are moving in and pressuring around. So I think we're leading up to 410, the sack of Rome, which was not necessarily the fall of the Roman Empire, but it was sort of like a beginning of the end. And the big thing that I want to emphasize about the barbarian Christianity is they had this thing called proprietary church, or the church of the ruler. So a lay patron that built the church and like brought the priest in, it was considered that was his church, and that priest like worked for him.
Interesting.
Which is totally not what we think today, right? So the missiology and the ecclesiology in this early times is pretty off. But the key point here is that they identify themselves as Christians.
Okay.
And that is going to be extremely important when Rome falls. So during the sack of Rome in 410, and they're flooding into the city, but they tell people if you go into churches, you will be saved.
Interesting.
Had you guys heard that before?
I had never heard that. No.
Yeah.
So the people that conquered Rome had actually had been subjected to Roman missionaries. I mean, Arian missionaries. And so they had kind of a taste of Christianity.
Yes.
And even though they weren't formally kind of catechized, they still identified as believers.
Yeah.
That's wild, dude. That is crazy.
And they spared the Christians because of it.
Yeah. Dude, that is insane. But also that makes a lot of sense for why Rome, the empire, could fall, but Christianity, even in a very fragmented way, still survived for so long in the West. So that is really fascinating.
Oh, yeah. Augustine writes on the City of God about the fall of Rome. And so I wasn't going to read a little quote, but you know what? The first line of City of God is just kind of really sets the mood. I should have brought it up earlier, but book 1. Many of them, indeed, being reclaimed from their ungodly error, have become sufficiently credible citizens of this city. But many are so inflamed with hatred against it, and are so ungrateful to its Redeemer for his signal benefits, as to forget that they would now be unable to utter a single word to its prejudice had they not found in its sacred places had they not found in its sacred places, as they fled from the enemy's steel, that life in which they now boast themselves. So he is directly talking, like his opening line of City of God is because you got to remember it, after Rome falls, everyone's blaming Christians for it. They're blaming Christianity as a whole for why the Roman Empire weakened. And you saw this new rise, like even when Rome was under siege, they were trying to do pagan practices to try to reawaken the old god's strength. They're scrambling. And Augustine just right off the bat says, yeah, the barbarians are here. The enemies are here. But all y'all that are still alive today to be hating on Christianity wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for Christianity. And so City of God, I have not read the whole thing in detail, but it's a very prolific. Augustine was prolific, but this work was very profound, right?
Oh yeah, certified Christian classic.
Have you guys read it?
Yes.
Read it. I own it.
But no, I have not read it. More of a Confessions guy myself, but that's just because, I don't know, I can sympathize with him being like I like girls too much. God help me.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this guy's spitting.
So, and then the next thing I'll say for a City of God, and then we'll move on, is he kind of talks about, like, he really goes in detail of it is not the normal practice when invaders come into a city to spare a bunch of people or a specific group of people. And he actually goes into history, and he quotes Diomedes and Ulysses, and this translation is so good. It says, drag with red hands the century slain, her fateful image from your fane, her chaste locks touch and stain with gore, the virgin coronal she wore. Just kind of talking about, like, how brutal invasion can be. So you have that. You have so we have the barbarian tribes become Christian. I can do air quotes now because we're on video.
That's
for
right.
For our
Yeah.
Spotify listeners, Christian air quotes. They spare the Christians in Rome, and we kind of have this collapse of the empire. Now, it does not happen overnight. It never does happen overnight. These sorts of things take a long time. There's still lots of power at play. People to this day argue what ultimately caused the collapse of the Roman Empire. But as we just read, Augustine does not think it's Christianity's fault. So, arguably, it did. The downward spiral started when they split the empire.
Christianity did play some role in changing the kind of the totalizing claims of the Roman Empire. I mean, even by nature of the fact that by the 4th century you have Roman emperors start acknowledging that there's a lord that's higher than them, that kind of changes the nature of the empire to a certain degree. Power dynamics in Rome at the time of Jesus were really structured one way, and then Christianity changes those dynamics without doing away with hierarchy. It changes what hierarchy is for, and you see that kind of permeate through the empire.
So you think maybe Christianity did have a part to play?
I think it did, yeah.
It's an interesting take. I don't hate that.
I think there's an argument to be made that Christianity is ultimately not sustainable with, like, a strong government. I mean, is that what you're getting at, Tommy? That, like, you can't like monopolize a giant swath of land with millions and millions of people without, like, pure power?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's exactly what I was saying, although I think it certainly is just true. It's a fact that the bigger you get, the harder it is to keep that going for a long time. And I don't know enough about kind of like what the will of the Roman spirit was in the 4th century and on to be able to comment on that. But I think that there is valid historical analysis and contemporary analysis from the time of people just noting that, I mean, Christianity did change the empire. The interesting thing is that at the same time that it's potentially weakening the brutal strength of the Roman Empire, the church is getting administratively stronger and stronger. So as Rome starts to fall, you kind of have this you do have this parallel institution, kingdom alongside the kingdom, where, I mean, they've got, I can't remember what episode it was that we talked about, where it's just an example of like Antioch, I think, in the, forget which century, but I mean, they've got like thousands of church officers, in just this one city.
Yeah.
And when the Roman administration starts to fall apart, you still have this Christian administration that's able to kind of step in and assist and run things.
You're jumping ahead. Don't get no spoilers.
I mean, I think even on a practical level, I mean, the whole reason Diocletian kind of split the empire and started the Tetrarchy was because there was just too much territory. There was too much junk going on. They were, even at that time, which would have been, I don't know, at least a few decades. My math isn't mathing right now, but
The end
like
of
they
the
were already
3rd century.
facing
Yeah.
threats from invaders. They were already dealing with civil wars.
Oh,
Like,
dude, it was
they
it
could have
gets
collapsed in the 3rd
romanticized.
century if they wanted to. Oh yeah, yeah. It was a slow decline.
I just had a thought. Did the term romanticized come from Roman?
You're on it, man. Well, I think it came
The
from
history
the
of Rome was
period,
romanticized.
which then came from that. But yeah, no, you're onto something, big dog.
Yeah, they romanticized it, made it. We're taught that it's greater than it was, and yes,
all the romantic languages are all derivative from Latin too.
That's right. Which is why English is not fully. It's not. Yeah.
English is romantic and Germanic.
Right.
That's why it's so weird.
It's a bastard child of the two.
You can't say bastard on YouTube.
It's like the technical definition.
I'm just joking.
I'm not swearing. I said
man.
asinine earlier, and someone at work was like, huh? And I was like, that's not a swear word. It's asinine. You think it's a swear. Anyway. Okay, so we are going to fast forward to the end of the 5th century to a little barbarian named Clovis. Have you guys heard of Clovis?
Clovis.
If I get to be the first person to tell you about Clovis, I am so excited.
All right.
So Clovis was the king of the Franks. So the Franks were the barbarian tribe in what is now France. Who would have thought? Franks, France?
So.
Yeah. So Clovis, our dear friend.
Fun fact really quick, since we're talking about the Franks. Something I learned this past week. I think this is true, but that word like Franks, where we get, Francia, France, comes from like the name of like the swords that people group would carry on them, which is kind of cool.
Oh,
That's
I didn't know
cool.
that. I just think of in Age of Empires, the Franks had the throwing axe special units.
That was it. There was the throwing axes, actually.
Oh, not the sword. It was the throwing axe. That's cool. Who would have thought?
What a callback for Age of Empires to be like, I know what their special attack's going to be.
I mean, they had like real historians involved.
No, that's awesome.
I do think Age of Empires like ruined a lot of children's understanding of history. I remember in the fifth grade class, my teacher goes, how many of you guys have heard of the Dark Ages? And if you're not familiar with Age of Empires, the game, the Dark Ages is like stage 1, where you just basically have a bunch of muddy peasants walking around with like mud huts.
Picking berries.
Yeah, picking berries. Deer. And this little kid goes, I know all about the Dark Ages. And my teacher gets all excited. And this kid proceeds to just explain what the Dark Ages is in Age of Empires. And the teacher was like, none of that is correct.
Okay. And this kid thought he was so excited, dude.
He did.
All right, I'll round it out. It's called the Francisca or the Francesca. It was a throwing axe used as a weapon during the early Middle Ages by the Franks.
Dang.
Very cool.
Shout out to that. Shout out to guys named Francisco. What a great name now.
Yeah, yes. It's power name.
We're talking about Clovis. Okay.
Back to Clovis.
First thing I'll say, a lot of what we know about Clovis is found in Gregory of Tours' History of the Franks. Some of you might have heard of this famous quote where people will say, you can look it up online, it's written everywhere, that Gregory of Tours starts his history with the greatest quote of all time, and it's supposedly, a great many things keep happening, some good, some bad. Have you guys heard that before?
No, but that's a great quote.
It's a pointless quote.
It's fantastic. Well, to start a history book with that, I'll say it again. A great many things keep happening. Some good, some bad.
That's the type of thing that John literally writes in Facebook comment sections. So I don't know. He's got a bag on that quote.
So that's a stupid line.
No. Here's my dilemma. I went ahead and bought for 99 cents a copy of A History of the Franks by Gregory of Tours on Kindle. And I cannot find that quote anywhere. I spent an embarrassing amount of time of my episode prep trying to find the source for this quote. And I'm begging the listeners, because I'm just going to start telling people that this is misattributed to him and he never said it. Please help me find this. I don't think it's in whatever translation I have. It is not in it. So, listeners, pray, help. Please find this quote.
So this is a Clovis line that Gregory of Tours recorded? That's what
No,
you're saying?
no. I'm saying Clovis comes from Gregory of Tours. I'm getting into the primary source right now, just setting the tone. So anyway, Gregory of Tours is where we get the story of Clovis. So we're going to read some. Here's what he says in chapter 27, 2. At that time, many churches were despoiled by Clovis's army, since he was as yet involved in heathen error. I love that sentence. That's actually a quote. Now the army had taken from a certain church a vase of wonderful size and beauty, along with the remainder of the utensils for the service of the church. And the bishop of the church sent messengers to the king, asking that the vase at least be returned, if he could not get any more of the sacred dishes. On hearing this, the king said to his messenger, "Follow us as far as Soissons, because all that has been taken is to be divided there, and when the lot assigns me that dish, I will do what the Father asks." He means the Father is in bishop. Then when he came to Soissons, and all the booty was set in their midst, the king said, "I ask of you, brave warriors, not to refuse to grant me in addition to my share yonder dish." That is, he was speaking of this vase just mentioned. In answer to this speech of the king, those of more sense replied, "Glorious king, all that we see is yours, and we ourselves are subject to your rule. Now do what seems well-pleasing to you, for no one is able to resist your power." When they said this, a foolish, envious, and excitable fellow lifted his battle-axe and struck the vase, and cried in a loud voice, "You shall get nothing here except what the lot fairly bestows on you." At all this were stupefied, but the king endured the insult with the gentleness of patience. Taking the vase, he handed it over to the messenger of the church, nursing the wound deep in his heart. So, scene is set. Clovis is still very much a pagan. One could even say anti-Christian, as he is, pilfering from the church. But we see a soft heart. A soft heart for the church. I can't refuse this sweet old bishop. The story continues. And at the end of the year, he ordered the whole army to come with their equipment of armor to show the brightness of their arms on the field of march. And when he was reviewing them all carefully, he came to the man who struck the vase and said to him, "No one has brought armor so carelessly kept as you, for neither your spear, nor your sword, nor your axe is in serviceable condition." And seizing his axe, he cast it to the earth. And when the other hand bent over somewhat to pick it up, the king raised his hands and drove his own axe into the man's head. "This,"
Oh my,
he said, "is what you did at Soissons to the vase." Upon the death of
Lord's
this man,
still working on this guy, I think.
he is.
Yeah.
He ordered the rest to depart, raising great dread of himself by this action. He made many wars and gained many victories. So this is Clovis. This is our man. And to move through his history a little bit, he ends up marrying, and his wife is a Christian, a Trinitarian Christian. Very important. Very important where we're going, because remember, all the barbarians are what? Aryans. But she is not. And then
Do we know why? Like how she kind of snuck in there?
Oh, she just came from an area that was Trinitarian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, this wasn't like Bartholomew came and... Right. Is that what you were wondering?
Oh, no, it would have been cool if, like, she'd been an Aryan her whole life and she had some kind of vision or something like that.
St. Matthew appeared to her with like a lion and a bear and... Yeah. Thank you,
like, how there's 3 of us? The Godhead is like that. Anyways, see ya.
All right, I'm gonna rabbit trail for 5 seconds. So we got this guy Dave in my Sunday school class. I love Dave. Dave is new to the Baptist world, and Dave has no filter. And I was telling my Sunday school class once about some pseudepigraphical stuff. It was the story that we went over where the lion gets baptized, and I told my Sunday school class this. And it's just silent. And Dave goes, "They must have had some good hash back then." Shout out, Dave. Okay.
Dave's like, "I've seen a few lions baptized in my day."
So Clovis's wife, they have a child. Clovis doesn't want him to be baptized. She baptizes the baby. The baby dies. Clovis actually thinks that it was the baptism. He's like, God didn't save him. But then, and then she has another son, and she baptizes him. And he falls sick. And he says, it is impossible that anything else should happen to him than happen to his brother, namely that being baptized in the name of your Christ should die at once. But, as Gregory writes, but through the prayers of his mother and the Lord's command, he became well. And the queen is
By the way, I love that phrase. By the prayers of his mother and the Lord's command.
That's right.
That's good.
The history of the Franks is regarded as like one of the OG medieval history books. It's pretty good. So the queen is continuing to kind of tell him, recognize the true God, stop worshiping your idols. She was actually, like, you can read earlier in this, she's telling him, like, your gods mean nothing. They're just carved out of wood and stone. They're useless. And so here we come to a critical point in Clovis's life. As we've already seen, his heart is softened in some areas, it's hardened in others. So we see that it comes, this is what he writes. It came about that as the two armies were fighting fiercely, there was much slaughter, and Clovis's army began to be in danger of destruction. He saw it, raised his eyes to heaven, and with remorse in his heart, key words there, he had remorse in his heart, he burst into tears and cried, Jesus Christ, whom Clotilda, that's his wife, asserts to be the Son of the living God, who art said to give aid to those in distress and to bestow victory on those who hope in thee, I beseech the glory of thy aid with the vow that if thou wilt grant me victory over these enemies, and I shall know that power which she says that people dedicated in thy name have had from thee, I will believe in thee and be baptized in thy name. And then he goes on to basically say, I've basically been a dirty heathen and they have betrayed me. They have left me. Lord, you got to help me. Kind of your classic testimony, right?
Yeah.
Like Bible man.
Everything's fallen apart. I'm going to ask Jesus for help. And immediately after, well, as Gregory writes, immediately his enemies turned tail and ran, and they won. And they killed the enemy king. They submitted dominion to Clovis, and they said, let not the people perish further. We pray, we are yours now. Okay. So Clovis then is baptized. This is a monumental moment in Western, in sort of the Western church history, because he gets baptized. Everyone else follows suit. He gets baptized first. And then this is what he writes. And so the king confessed all-powerful God in the Trinity and was baptized in the name of the Father and Son and the Spirit, was anointed with the holy oil, or the holy ointment, with the sign of the cross of Christ, and of his army more than 3,000 were baptized. And so you have this mass conversion of the most powerful barbarian tribe in Europe. And this sort of sets the tone for what will evolve into the Europe that we have for the Crusades. So this moment is critical to talk about. I will say there's another funny story about Clovis that I cannot find the primary source for, and I'm just going to go on another little rabbit trail. I think that we are very quick to hate on AI for hallucinating things, and I'm like, people have hallucinated stuff forever. I cannot find the primary source for this next story. It's my final little ribbon on Clovis, if you will. But it's very funny. It's worth mentioning. It comes from Story of Old France by Helene Gruber, and it is it's a history book from about 100 years ago. And she seems to be pulling from history of the Franks, but she has this funny story about he said, I scrolled up to get the author's name. Okay, here we go. On his return from the Battle of Tobiat, Clovis listened for the first time to the story of Christ. When the priest of Saint Remy described how he had been crucified, Clovis grew very angry, clenched his fists, and loudly cried, "Ah, if I had only been there with my Franks, I would have taught those Jews a lesson."
He's like, where's a time machine when you need one?
Right. So clearly on his
That's
first
a very
gospel
pure
present.
like response. That's a very pure response to the
Yeah.
story though. Like have you seen that video? It went viral a little bit where it was like it was like this YN dude, which, you know, if you don't know the internet, just fill in the blanks. But it's like an urban black fellow who was praying at the dinner table, and he was like, "Lord, I pray." He's like, "And I swear, God, if you ever give me the chance," he's like, "I'm gonna get back at Judas for what he did to your boy Jesus." Like
There's an
Very
honesty.
pure.
There's an honesty there, right?
exactly. Yeah.
And
yeah.
Jesus understood that. He understands that our hearts are wicked, and he loves us anyway. So there you go. So Clovis, like I said, kind of this key figure. And so you have now what is kind of the effects of the barbarian takeover. So the biggest thing, there's multiple ways to break this down, but you have the effects on society, and this is from the author of the book. I highly recommend this book if you want a general church history. It's Everett Ferguson. You guys have that on your bookshelves? Church History, Volume 1, Christ to Pre-Reformation. He does a fantastic job summarizing everything in a reasonable length of time. So this is what he says. The Germanic kings, for the most part, regarded themselves as Roman, acknowledged the emperor in the East, and respected Roman traditions and customs. Nevertheless, the old Roman and the new Germanic peoples were divided by language, customs of food and dress, legal systems, and it took, this is his exact line, it took centuries for the two peoples to blend and become the nations of modern Europe.
Okay.
So you have
It's more like they were more Catholic than they were Roman.
well,
Like the tie that was binding them was the church more so than Roman culture.
And I believe I will quote my church history professor again, but he said that if you ask a man who his like current barbarian chieftain is, he will not know. Ask him who his bishop is, he will tell you right away. So there was so much political power changing so much, but like the church kind of binded everybody
Stabilizer.
together. Yeah, they were. It was the great stabilizer. The other thing, another massive difference in kind of Greco-Roman culture and the barbarian culture is very rural as opposed to based in cities. And then this is kind of how you get into the development of feudalism, because there's less cities, and then there's more, you know, random guy pops up, says I'm a feudal lord, and he can kind of do it. So then the effects
is the title we should be using for these peoples is Germanic?
Yes,
appropriate.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I guess I was Germanic barbarian, the tribes. I don't know. It's important to understand that I think because of pop culture, you know, like when you think of a barbarian, what's the first thing that comes to your mind, John Simon?
You think of a big tall brute with an axe.
Yeah, who has 1d12 hit die and
rages too much and never takes any damage.
Right, and he's wearing like a loincloth.
Yeah.
Conan the Barbarian. That's just not. That's a cartoon depiction of them. So it's just important to remember, like, they were people with their own culture and customs. And as we've said, the Huns had invaded and sort of forced them around. Rome weakened, and over time, Rome just sort of like. I don't collapse is such a strong word, because what is collapse? What did they collapse to? They just sort of evolved, devolved, changed, whatever title you want to use. They morphed into this new system over hundreds of years.
This might not be totally accurate, but whenever I'm thinking of these peoples and this time, I think of how like Vikings are depicted, like that level of technology, kind of like the way they dressed, similar area, similar time.
Yeah, so Rome was definitely ahead in tech, but in
I'm
this,
talking about the Germanic peoples.
right, right. I'm getting to that. So Rome was very technologically advanced, and they were not, but being neighbors with them for hundreds of years eventually caught them up. And so they did
Like they could
advance.
build an aqueduct if they wanted to.
Yeah, or I guess in their case, probably like siege weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's the more
So that's kind
important
of
thing.
like when I think of the Roman Empire, I think it has all this territory and the central government has figured out how to pool these resources so that every region plays a role. But when I think of like feudalism, it's like much more tribal, it's much more localized.
Yes.
Like they're not going to have access to big resources, but they're going to be altogether much more self-sufficient as a smaller community.
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so the church in this is this is what Ferguson writes. With the decline in central government in the West, the church took over many public services, for example, education, that retained their traditional basis in the East. So in the West, though, they are bound to more of what everyone else is bound to, agriculture and this like feudalism. And this is kind of where you start to see this that medieval trope of the monasteries, right?
Hmm.
Like the monks just kind of living in solitude up on a hilltop and just copying books down and doing their studying and doing the chants.
Well, it's almost like this was they were adapting to the new context they lived in. Because when you live in an empire, then you can be a scholar and you can be a teacher and someone in the community. But when you live in a small rural area and all you really do is study, then it makes more sense that you would kind of have more of a secluded role because it fits where you're at, I guess.
Yes. And as we've
Yeah.
said earlier, the key thing to understand about this time as power gets more and more decentralized and gets into the hands of feudal lords, the the church though still points, as Tommy said at the beginning of the episode, upwards and says, yes, you have your earthly kingdoms, but universal authority belongs to the Lord, and everybody is on board with this. So you have
Interesting.
your limited authority of local barbarian feudal lords that are all Christian for the most part, acknowledging the universal authority of God de facto with the church. You see now how the power imbalance can start to rise, add hundreds and hundreds of years on these thoughts, and then you get to the point where Pope Urban II can stand before a council, the Council of Clermont, and say, we are going to war with the Middle East, and your sins will be forgiven if you fight.
He bangs the drum.
And everyone listens.
Yeah.
I've been doing some thinking about that. It's kind of one of the things that I'm trying to wrap my head around and study as we're preparing is kind of how that works with the Bishop of Rome. One thing that I've kind of wondered is if some of these Germanic chieftains and lords felt like they needed permission to do that. But I think that part of what's going on here is that because it's not so much the Pope flexing his power, even though maybe he had it, as it is the Pope is the personification of the thing that binds them together, and they need to be bound together if they're going to be able to fight back against Islam. And so he's like the key to kind of unlock basically, here's how we're going to get all of the armies together. It's like the battle of 5 armies or whatever in the
In
Hobbit.
the Hobbit.
It's just like you've got to have some sort of central reason for getting together to do this. And in their case, I mean, there's a lot of reasons which we'll get into, but the Pope, the Bishop of Rome, is the guy that's able to say that. And
That's
pull that
right.
off.
We'll have plenty of time to talk about Urban and his rallying call to the Franks. Taylor, I have a question for you that is one of my notorious John Simon questions that Taylor gets mad at me because he may not have the answer.
No, I'm not. I think I've evolved. You remember when I didn't have that answer for Tommy's question a few episodes ago, and I realized like it's okay. There's no way I'm not gonna know everything. If I know it, I'll tell you. If I don't know it, I'll tell you.
Yeah, you don't have to sound smart. We're called church history for chumps, dude. Yeah, no one's listening to us with a master's degree, except for me, I guess. But hey. So question. So the barbarians, one of the like stereotype tropes against a barbarian, which like you kind of said before, is almost like a slur. It basically means someone who's not ethnically Roman or even like governed by Rome, but also like they don't have Roman civility. They don't have like Roman decency. They're kind of like warmongers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So my question is, we've got all this time and these are feudal kind of like kind of tribesmen. Like, are they fighting? Like, because I'm thinking like
all the time
they have this unification through Christianity, but they're still very divided. They're still kind of living in pockets. Like, are they rivals with each other? Is there beef?
Yes, all the time. And we return.
Okay.
I know we're running somewhat short on time. That let me do a quick little thing on why Rome was the capital, and then I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to put us right up to Pope Urban-ish. Okay. So Rome, main thing, you guys probably already know the answer. Why is Rome the capital of the church?
Because that's where
the Bishop of Rome is.
Yeah, who claims papal succession to Peter. Boom.
Through Peter.
Yeah. Okay, this is where Peter was. This is where the church is. Boom. That's like the main reason. There's like other factors. Ferguson,
it's a good place to have an administrative hub in the ancient world.
Yeah, exactly. And even though like Rome switched capital, or so the Roman Empire switched capitals frequently, as we've seen, they changed things around, but ecclesiastically, it sort of always stayed with Rome, being very simple. As I say that, and we've gotten into it, the nuance between Constantinople and that eventually leads to the schism, which I think we're going to talk about. Are you going to talk about that one, John? In your episode?
Crap. Maybe we need to do a separate episode on that. I'm just realizing that
the schism is part of the big.
It kind of goes ish with what I'm going to talk about, but the Great Schism really needs its own thing.
Yeah, maybe that's our fourth and final.
Yeah, there you go.
Kind of like behind the scenes setup thing.
So the split between the East and West was a long time coming, but yeah, Rome was boom, like right there. Geographically, even Ferguson notes the personal factor of the steadfastness of the Bishop of Rome during the Arian controversy maintained Rome's reputation for orthodoxy. So there's a lot of things that kind of point to Rome being the key. Okay, so now you get to Charles Martel, who once again is France. And like, where is France in Europe? Well, no, it's like kind of like the middle, right? In a lot of ways of this area that we're talking about. So France is a key point, and it's been powerful, and it was very powerful for a while. So let me jump forward here in my notes.
Now we're concurrent with Boniface, which we recently did.
Yes. And so Martel and Charlemagne, to summarize, brought an immense amount of power with the blessing of the church alongside of it. They conquered a lot. This is, Ferguson writes, the papal state represented the coming together of several elements: the estates left to the church, the administrative achievements of the individual popes in Rome, and the theory that Rome belonged to the pope. And so you've got this view of Rome that's very high, and you have now this military conquest. And it's funny you mentioned Boniface, because 754, Boniface dies. The West is looking now to Rome, and Rome has stopped looking at Byzantium, and you see the beginning of the split. It's already been forming, fomenting, if you will. But even in the 8th century, mid-8th century, you have it coming. And because of the power that the Franks, Clovis, and fast forward 200-something years to now Martel, the Hammer, Charles Martel, and Charlemagne, Rome now looks to them. And this is just we don't have time to get into just kind of like the philosophy of all this, the theology of when you have poor ecclesiology. I would say this is the beginning of really when the church starts getting messy and becomes very political, when they turn and then sort of link hands with the Franks. And they're going to continue on with that. Not all bad things happened during this time. So there was a lot of the outer reaches of Europe, Ireland. You got St. Patrick. You got, we already said Boniface was doing missions, kind of with these more backwoods tribes. So you have more expansion of the gospel happening in this time, but I would also say this is the beginning of some pretty intense perversion and power dynamics that the church is grabbing that it should not have. And
you
then
think this is kind of the beginning of that kind of political ecclesial marriage that is going to boil over into the Reformation centuries down the line?
Yeah, I mean, we're all part of the same human story in the long run, the butterfly effect and everything. But I think, simple definition, simple summary, yes. This is the beginning that's going to lead. But we don't care about the Reformation right now. We care about like what leads. Right. Yeah. I was tasked with explaining why Pope Urban can stand up and say we're going to invade the Middle East and take Jerusalem back, and everybody listens. And I feel like I've done that in my allotted time. Dude, it's the time 59:30.
In less than an hour. Also, you did not answer my question at all.
What about barbarians with the power? Yeah. Dude, I'm totally
I said, like, are totally going to be that with each other? And you were like, absolutely. Anyways, here's why Rome is so important.
Well, no, they beefed with each other in the sense of like they were always at war, and then eventually, the Franks evolved to the point where and even after the Franks evolve and take a lot of power, there's always uprisings.
There's still going to be
They're always fighting. Okay. We live in by far the most peaceful time in human history.
Mm-hmm.
And then people are like, no more wars. This is more. There's not.
So another normie question is, I know that Germanic and Frankish are not interchangeable terms. Are Franks part of the Germanic peoples, and the Franks just kind of become the like main character of these tribes in the West? Or
at the risk of being absolutely wrong, I'm going to say emphatically yes.
Okay. All right.
I think you're correct.
All right. Okay. I'll go with that. And if we find out we're wrong, we'll correct you guys. We'll correct next week, guys.
Dude, we try, okay? And yes, I will say as we land the plane on this, I'm going to be a little proud of myself. I'm going to pat myself on the back because I'm the guy that's like, man, I could have done a whole episode on like Charles Spurgeon's like year in France. Been like, and guys, it's really important that he stared at this beach for 2 hours. And let me tell you why. Let me read you what he records about this beach.
Yeah, dude, we kind of torture you by being like, hey, could you cover
800
500 years of history in 45 minutes?
Yeah. P.S. Oh, we'll give you 50. You get 50.
Yeah.
Well, there's a factor going on here where the next 3 episodes, I guess, they're all gonna kind of like interlink with each other.
That's
Because
right.
like there's details here that Taylor just can't do in an hour that will have to be filled in other episodes from like different angles. So hopefully by the time we've made it through these next 4 episodes or the next 3, it will be really, really laid out well where we can then start diving into some of the actual.
Yeah. I mean,
Crusades.
I really only talked about Europe, so
Well, dude, that's the thing.
Yeah.
When I think the 3 of us are on the same page here. The 3 main characters of especially the first Crusade are the Western Christians, the Eastern Christians, and the Muslims.
Yes.
So we want to dedicate an episode to each of those, and then, which we absolutely realized as we were talking, we need to talk about why the East and West broke up.
Yes.
Which is really something we've been hinting at for a very long time, because the East and West have kind of been they've formed in different theological circles since their inception, basically.
They have.
But
and the patristic era split even between East and West.
Yeah. Between Rome and Alexandria, like, dude, they were like rivals for a while. They dealt with different heresies. They had different languages. Yeah, they were culturally becoming more and more different. The fact that it took them 1,000 years to split up is crazy.
You give him props for that.
Yeah, big props. But that's gonna be a fun episode.
Dude,
all right, well, Taylor, good job, man. I'll join you in patting you on the back.
Yeah,
bro. That was
feels
good.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our kickoff for the Crusades. If you're wondering why aren't there any people getting killed yet? Again, you gotta wait. We're doing our due diligence. We're gonna build the story, build in the backstory, and we'll be back next week to talk about.
Take an axe to the head in this episode.
That's true. Yeah, a little teaser.
Guys, if you want something fun to read, just read History of the Franks. It's a fast read. I think he's unintentionally funny about how he does it, but it is just amusing nonetheless.
That's a good pull, man. That was a good reference to be able to make. That's solid.
I was so happy to tell you guys about Clovis, that you had never heard of him. I was so happy. I love his story so much.
All right. Well, boys, good first step. Listeners, thank you guys so much for listening to us. We got a whole lot to do from here. Or
if you're watching,
yeah, that's right.
Hey, bump us up at long time listeners. Jackson, LM, who else?
John Harmson, that sweet couple that has been following us for like 2 years. Also, dude, I realized in May we will have been doing this podcast for 3 years.
That's
Not
crazy.
you, Taylor, just me and Thomas.
I know.
But yeah, 3 years.
You're coming up on a year with me, which is nuts.
I know.
Singapore, I need you guys to get everybody, just go watch the episode. If you're listening on Spotify, God bless you. Open it up on YouTube and mute it and leave it on. Just get us the view counts.
That's right. You know how like on YouTube you can like give someone hype? Do that. Give us hype, like, comment, subscribe, share,
Ari,
put us on Facebook.
get on it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
We got our Buzzsprout stats. Did you guys look at that?
Yeah, I did.
3 years of podcasting, and right now we're at 29,000 downloads.
And more than half of those were from last year.
That can't be right, because we hit 50,000 downloads total.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. We've done more than 50.
It was 29,000 this year?
Maybe it's 29 this year.
Yeah. Man, you guys really blew up around early March.
Oh, yeah, it was 29,000 this year. Yeah.
You guys blew up, and what happened in March? Oh.
I
What's that, Taylor?
Foggy. You're breaking up.
I can't hear you, Taylor. Sorry. All right. They don't want to hear us talk about our stats. Thank you, guys. We love you.
Love you guys. It's them.
God bless you.
All right. Bye, guys. Bye-bye.
All right. See ya.